Live from the Ram Cave, I'm Joe Tarosian, and this is RamView, the August 1st, 2022 edition. I'm Joe Tarosian. So thankful for you joining us this morning, the first day of August. We've been doing this show off and on, mostly on for about 6 months. So thank you so much for clicking on as we do a brief show because I'm about to get on the road again, take care of some business, and I wanted to squeeze this one out. Got my Ram mug here. People say, why don't I use my Ram mug more? And the reason I don't use my Ram mug more is because this guy's gone, this guy's gone, this guy's gone, and this guy's gone. This was a gift from somebody in my church in 2016 after the Rams returned. And they thought, wow, I'm going to get Pastor Joe this. And then all of a sudden, all these guys were gone. I'm actually not too upset about Tavon Austin and Jared Goff being gone. But anyway, I digress. So a lot of stuff happening. I'm not sure. You guys let me know. I am literally not going to do it until somebody says something to me. But I got all this stuff about Bill Russell passing away, not the former Dodgers shortstop, but the former Boston Celtics center. And I'm really sorry to hear about Bill Russell passing away. He seemed like a nice man who endured a lot, thrived in a city like Boston where there was a lot of issues there, a player coach in Boston when there was a lot of issues there. And he won titles. It's really, it's sorry to see him go, but he goes to his reward and we pray for his family. So that's all I got to say about Bill Russell. But Deshaun Watson, there's a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. Yeah, you could say, okay, he wasn't charged, this, that. You compare it to Trevor Bauer in the Major League Baseball, but Major League Baseball is different than the NFL. But Watson only got 6 weeks. And the part that makes me interested about Watson only getting 6 weeks is that these were 30 different accusations, I guess. That's what I heard now. That's the latest against him. So it just seems like the NFL is setting itself up for something that if he gets popped again, so to speak, if he gets popped again with later this year or next year, someone makes an accusation against him and somehow it gets any kind of traction, whose head gets rolled in the NFL office? Because this is the NFL. The NFL has no soul. The NFL does everything it can to protect itself, to make itself look good. And it doesn't necessarily do the right thing all the time. And so self-preservation, I don't believe it's trying to do the right thing here. I don't know what they're doing, but 6 weeks is not enough for self-preservation if Watson gets popped again. Or someone else comes forward and say, hey, 2 weeks ago, this guy did this to me. You know what? Good for the Browns. They got their quarterback, but this is a guy that sat out all last year. This was a guy whose team won 4 games the last time he played in 2020. And his team won 4 games last year in 2021. I like Deshaun Watson as a player, but I don't know. How much of a difference does he make? I think there's some attitude there. Remember, he balked at playing for the Texans. After he signed the contract, and he signed the contract after DeAndre Hopkins was traded. Just saying, it was his choice. Deebo Samuel made his choice, and the 49ers gave him 3 years, 71.5 rocks, 58 guaranteed, and an annual salary of 23.8. So good for him, right? Deebo Samuel. But I believe it's too much for a guy that doesn't want to play wide back anymore. I believe Samuel's a good receiver, but I believe he's a receiver who can be replaced in the ensuing drafts. But he's a really great wide back who is a rare talent as a receiver / running back. But he doesn't want to play wide back. So the 49ers essentially overpaid for a receiver that can be replaced in one of the next few drafts. How marvelous is that? I don't think Samuel is an elite Devontae Adams type receiver. But they're paying him like he is. As a wide back, doing that slash role between running back and wide receiver, he's great. He's a rare talent. He gets banged up. His career's not going to last that long if he keeps doing that. And he didn't want to do that. But they paid him as if he was an elite receiver. And, yeah, I don't think he is. I think he's a good receiver. I don't think he's a great receiver. And so I think that's the best news I've ever heard as a Rams fan. How marvelous, right? The Kyler Murray situation won't go away until the KBM, the Kiss Butt Media, gets a scalp, right? They got to have something, right? The kid signed the contract, okay? He signed the contract. Okay, the young man signed the contract. The Cardinals' point was proven. He didn't bother to read because he doesn't bother to study. That's not that he can't read or he can't study. So don't let that get twisted. But his agent failed him and he failed himself. I mean, we've seen enough stories of agents ripping off their clients. Wouldn't you, as the employer of an agent, want to read the contract that he argued for you just to see what's in there? But Murray obviously didn't, and then comes back and says it's disrespectful, disrespectful, disrespectful. But because the media needs something, they go to Patrick Mahomes and try to get him to say something, and then if you want something said about black quarterbacks, you go to Warren Moon, right? And so you just have to go to Warren Moon, and Warren Moon will, of course, cry racism. And I'm sorry, I never believed Warren Moon was a Hall of Fame quarterback. I believe he's Hall of Very Good, but that's a whole different conversation there. But the Warren Moon situation is just a little bit different that nobody talks about, that NFL didn't want black quarterbacks. Well, in 1977, the Chicago Bears drafted Vince Evans out of USC in the 6th round. And within a couple of years, he was starting for them. Right? In fact, I think he was their last starting quarterback before Jim McMahon. Also, in 1978, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, located in the Deep South in Florida, drafted Doug Williams in the 1st round. And that was Warren Moon's era. I saw Warren Moon play at Washington. I loved it when he beat Michigan. I really was rooting for Warren Moon. But the thing is that I don't know if it was race as fully as the reason why Warren Moon had to go to Canada, right? I think it was more of a case of misread talent, which happens all the time. I think people didn't view him for some reason as something better. I mean, obviously, he was a better quarterback than Vince Evans in college, right? He really was. Now, I'm not going to say he's better than Doug Williams, because Doug Williams was super talented. But why would they draft Vince Evans and not Warren Moon? I think it was a misread of talent, and I don't think race played a part in it. Maybe a single individual did, but I don't know if it was an overall thing. But because of this, Moon has had grievance forever. And instead of letting it go, which I know that's big of me to say, somebody else should let something go, to me, it haunts him. And it takes away from maybe some of the things he did. And this is not to discount that black quarterbacks were discriminated against. Marlon Briscoe, James Harris, I lived through the James Harris thing. And if you want to really read some good stuff on that, William Roden, the late sports writer, William Roden, wrote a book called Third and a Mile that's about the black quarterback experience in professional football. It's an excellent book. No denying that those guys got jobbed left and right because of the skin color. I have no problem believing that. But I also think by the time Warren Moon came along, with Vince Evans drafted, others playing, J.J. Jones played for the Jets, Doug Williams was drafted 1st round by the Buccaneers. I think it was less about race and more about a misread of Moon's talents. That's what I think it was. But because of this is Moon's platform. It's unfortunate, right? It's not the platform of being a Hall of Famer necessarily, or his great career, which was a very good career. I think he only won 3 playoff games. But we always, when the KBM, the Kiss Butt Media, needs a scalp, they go to Warren Moon. And then he says racism, and we go on from there. Kyler Murray's thing is not racism. Even veteran NFL players, LeVar Arrington, Plaxico Burress, has said it's not a race thing. It's a maturity thing. The Cardinals didn't trust Kyler Murray. That's it. And they got their point proven because the young man didn't read the contract. And that's what it is. Less race, more about immaturity. But this is all red meat for the KBM, Kiss Butt Media, that needs to gin something up because it needs a scalp. I know that might sound controversial, but it just keeps popping up. Then Jefferson missed time this week with an apparent knee issue. Depth is now a concern for the Rams, but it really isn't, because they are deep in the position with players and names, but maybe not with that burner type unless you go to Tutu Atwell, right? We don't know what the deal is. He's supposed to see a knee specialist today. We hope Van Jefferson's okay, but it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, because all the love Tutu Atwell was getting. But remember who the Rams also have in-house. They have a lot of talented receivers that can buy them time until he comes back. But what this is not a case for is to speed up OBJ's return, because even OBJ is still rehabbing his knee. So I heard people screaming, "You got to sign him now, got to sign him now, got to sign him now." It's like, no, the Rams don't have to sign him now. They don't have to sign OBJ until Thanksgiving or November, until he's ready to play again. They don't have to sign Ndamukong Suh until someone gets hurt on the defensive line. There's talent out there, and maybe you just need to wait and get the best of it for the back half of the season. But Van Jefferson, they do need his wheels going deep. If not, it's going to be Tutu, and because he's the next burner in the building. So keep that in mind as this plays out. Born on this date, former Ram running back who's very underrated, Greg Bell, turned 60 today. He was part of the Eric Dickerson trade. Had a couple of great years for the Rams in 88, 89, and then they let him walk as a free agent. I think he went to the Raiders, and then it was over for him. Also, former Ram #1 draft pick, Gaston Green, turns 56 today. And Gaston Green was excellent early in his career at UCLA. He shared time with Eric Ball. You remember that? And for the Rams, he was a bust. He was just an absolute bust. Complete misread, complete waste of a draft pick for the Rams. He is given away to the Broncos and he rushes for 1,000 yards. But even then, his career wasn't what people expected. And again, just a symptom. God bless Gaston Green, but he was just a symptom of how the Rams might have made a nice deal when they traded Eric Dickerson. They just botched all the draft picks. And also on this day, born in 1966, is former blocking tight end Pat Carter. You remember Pat Carter? Pat Carter was a pretty good blocking tight end with the Rams, late 80s, early 90s. He turns 56. Significantly on this day in Rams history, passing away in 1990 at the age of 36 was Carl Eckern. Great example of hard work, guy from San Jose State, middle round draft pick in 76, I think, for the Rams. And he just fought way away from special teams into becoming a starter for the Rams. And Carl Eckern was just this hardworking guy, very blue. He was the epitome of blue collar. He died in an accident, I believe, outside of Ridgecrest, a car accident on Highway 395, going to a football camp in Las Vegas. And he passed away really young at the age of 36 on this day. And in 2001, Deacon Dan Towler, at the age of 73, passed away in Pasadena, California. He played 6 seasons for the Rams from 1950 to 1955, won the world championship with the Rams in 51, 4 Pro Bowls, all pro in 1952, and led the league in rushing that year. He was 6'2", 225 in the early 1950s, and he was part of that bull elephant backfield that you may have heard about with the Rams with Dick Horner and Tank Younger. Now, they had Waterfield and Van Brocklin at quarterback. They had Tom Fears, they had Bob Boyd, and they had this other guy in Crazy Legs Hirsch at receiver. And then in the backfield, they had Tank Younger, Dick Horner, and Deacon Dan Towler. Deacon Dan Towler ran for nearly 3,500 yards in 6 seasons and scored 43 touchdowns. He averaged 5.2 yards per carry. Now, this was the 12-game season of the NFL in those days. And Towler, his first 5 years, never missed a game. And he rushed for 800 yards 3 straight times. 800 yards in a 12-game season is pretty doggone good. And he passed away on this day in 2001. All right. So, hey, I'm coming up to the 15-minute mark, and this is what I wanted to get across. And we're going to go on Kyler Murray moratorium from now on. I don't want to talk about him anymore. He kind of bores me. But we felt like it just needed to get that out because that's what's playing out in the NFL in terms of Kyler Murray. 49ers really happy about them signing Deebo Samuel. And then, of course, there's the Seahawks that we need to follow up on. And then we're going to follow up on the Raiders and the Chargers because they have LA ties. And so as we get closer and closer into the season, those are the things we're going to be focusing on. You follow me at Joe T13B at Twitter, Instagram, Joe T Sports right here on YouTube. Hit like, subscribe, leave your comments, and we'll go from there. All right. Thank you so much. You can read my books on Amazon.com. Thank you so much for clicking on, and I will see you on Wednesday because I am on the road tomorrow. God bless. Take care. Talk to you soon.